Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 28th, 2025 Planning Board meeting. I'd like to start with the pledge, please. Allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic for which it stands. For those of you who may be expecting 5 items on the agenda this evening, 2 of them are off the agenda. Number 3, Element by West End at Eastview Mall, is tabled until February 11th. And the Nikoloff subdivision is also tabled until the February 11th meeting. So we have 3 items on the agenda tonight. Meeting minutes, none, right? Okay. Correspondence received, any other than what's in your packets? Boards and committee updates. Dave Condon.
Good evening, everybody. Just wanted to let you know that Mike Guinan will be here in my stead. Hopefully, I communicated that with him today. I'm going to be looking for some warmer climate first part of February, so I won't be here on the 11th. But I will keep track of what's going on and continue to follow your good work and your progress. So keep up the good work. So,
thank you, Dave. Keith, planning board updates.
Good evening, Keith Maynard, project manager for the town of Victor. So your next planning board meeting is Tuesday, February 11th at 7 o'clock. First item on the agenda is the site plan application. It's the Wiseman rental special use. Applicant is requesting approval for a 3-year renewal for his short-term rental at 6562 Break of Day, a 3-bedroom, 1,600 square foot home with the primary residence being 6562 Break of Day Road. Second one is the Mason Pole Barn, 250 Blasey Road. Applicant is requesting approval to construct a 2,200 square foot pole barn for personal use. Then the Element by Weston at Eastview Mall Hotel will most likely be back. And then for a preliminary application, the Nikoloff subdivision will be back on Blasey Road. Applicant is requesting approval to develop 42.4 acres into 8 lots with 2 driveways coming off of Blasey Road. This is the second step in a major subdivision. And then any carryovers from tonight.
Okay.
Any questions on that before I move on to the next thing? Okay. The next thing, Lisa helped me put together an update to you guys. A couple of you, I believe, requested an update on some previous projects that you'd approved and just kind of where they stand and where we're at with them. So I believe that got emailed to everybody. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you guys may have on any of that.
Okay, good. That was the intent, is to keep everybody apprised of where things stand.
Every 6 months, would that be good for something like that?
Yeah,
More often?
I think so. Unless someone comes up with, if something comes back before us, you may have questions, but otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to ask us questions at any time, but for something formal like this, for an update.
I'd like to thank you both for putting this together. So,
Yeah, no problem.
if I
Great.
could say something, Keith, I'd send it to the town board as well.
Okay.
Because, we see the apartment complexes that get approved and the hard work that you guys do, and then nothing happens for 6 months to a year, right? And then we remember that we've approved these and they're ready to go, and so I think the town board would be interested in those updates as well.
Okay, and I'm certainly more than willing to ask questions there, too.
So with that in mind, would it be useful to show everything that's come before us, like if a project is completed, so we know where it is, or is that too much information?
We tried to pick the most, between Lisa and I, we tried to pick like the bigger subdivisions, the more what we deemed as important site plans, like not every cell tower and stuff like that, you know what I mean?
That makes sense.
And we tried to go back the last couple of years, I think. Most of these are things that either went before you within the last year or two, or are active in our office's day-to-day lives, as far as building permits and stuff coming in.
Okay.
If you'd like to go back further, we could. Or if you have any specific questions about a project, we can answer them too.
Okay, no, I thought it was pretty good, so that's
Okay,
enough.
okay.
some of them is kind of clear, the really big ones, like, I'll use Fisher's Ridge. Nothing's happening, and
Right, we can confirm that.
so if you have a thought about a particular development, that there's some dormant parcels or something, certainly reach out to,
Okay.
and Lisa would be glad to put stuff together for that as an update. So,
That works.
Yeah.
okay,
All right, thank you, everybody.
thanks, Keith. So, moving on to this evening's agenda. You have something else, Keith, or you don't?
No, I'm good.
Okay. First one is a public hearing. It's for Crown Castle T-Mobile, 914 Brownsville Road, and the owner is Crown Castle. The applicant's requesting approval to remove and replace antennas at existing wireless communication facility. So, good evening.
Janet Spatafora, I'm here for Crown Castle and T-Mobile. So the purpose of this project is just to enhance broadband connectivity and capacity to the existing tower. So I guess there was approval in 2016 for the tower and 12 Verizon antenna. Right now, T-Mobile just wants to remove 3 antennas and replace them with 3 antennas and then add 3 antennas. And that's it.
All at the same elevation?
At same CL, yes,
Okay,
and
yep.
no groundwork.
Okay.
Yep.
Pretty typical of power modifications and equipment changes and swaps that we've seen in the past. Anybody with questions? Joe, Al? Pat? Ernie? No? Myself either. I think this is pretty straightforward and clear, so I appreciate your providing this, coming before the board. It's kind of what we got to do. So unless you have anything else for us, I think we have a draft resolution that we can move forward with, so,
Perfect, thank you.
okay.
Have a great evening.
Unless I assume that there's nothing from engineering that,
Nothing significant, but we do have a comment or two. So I was curious about the potential color of the antenna in the radio transmitter, if that's going to match the tower itself.
Match existing,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. And then I don't know if it's possible, but with the plan set that was submitted, would we be able to have the design professional add a signature block for the planning board chair? And
Sure,
okay, I've got that in the letter here. I can get the letter to you so that you have documentation of the request.
yes, please email that. I will tell A&E and they will revise it and
Okay.
send it to you.
Perfect.
Perfect,
Yeah, that's it. That's all I've
thank
got.
you.
okay, thanks, Wes. And that letter is referenced in the resolution, so you'll obviously be getting it before we review and sign off.
Oh,
on
okay,
application.
that condition will be in the letter, you're
In
saying?
the resolution.
Okay, perfect, okay.
Okay?
You want one?
Oh, thank you.
But I'll email it to you also.
Thanks. Okay, thanks, Wes, appreciate it. Keep me on my toes here, make sure you get all your comments in. So with that, I have a resolution for Crown Castle T-Mobile, 914 Brownsville Road, application 7SU 2024. But before I do that, it is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that has comments before I ask for close of the public hearing? Seeing or hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Joe
Second.
and Al. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, carried 5-0. Public hearing is closed. I can move on with this resolution. I think I'm trying to get this done sooner for you, Al. Whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, special use permit was received on November 4th, 2024 from Crown Castle Towers. DBA is Crown Castle, the applicant by Secretary of the Planning Board for a site plan entitled Crown Castle DBA T-Mobile project. And there are 11 whereases. Now therefore be it resolved that the application of Janet Spatafora of Crown Castle, site plan entitled Crown Castle T-Mobile project located at 914 Brownsville Road, be approved with the following conditions. Conditions to be addressed prior to chairman's signature. Number 1 is standard. Number 2, that the comments in a letter dated January 28th, 2025 from Lobella Associates be addressed. Ongoing conditions, that the site plan comply with the Town of Victor design and construction standards, and that a building permit be obtained for the antennas prior to installation, and be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. Do I hear a motion for approval?
Move.
Ernie moves.
Second.
Joe seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 5-0. You're welcome. Okay, two more items. First one, PMD site plan modification. This is a public hearing. 727 Raleigh Road, owner Raleigh Real Estate Prop LLC. Applicants requesting approval for modifications that were done outside of the signed PMD addition plans of 2023. Good evening.
Good evening. Steve Schultz, MRB, Tim Lochner from PMD. As you're aware, the board approved the plan for an addition in 2023 to the east side of his building on Rowley Road. And construction immediately followed. He got the work done in 2023, and he deviated a little bit from the plan, which is why the building department asked us to come back to the board tonight. The plan submitted represents a field surveyed as-built condition, so everything that's out there now is on the plan that we submitted. Going through the items that were changed is, there's probably two that are most significant, and the other four are pretty minor, but in the back of the building, the addition is right here that was constructed in 2023. And originally, we had the pavement end here and here. But Tim added a 16-foot wide driveway along the back of the building. It's something he was used to, because before the addition, there was a driveway back there, which allowed connectivity between the south and north ends of the site without having to go back out onto Rowley Road to get from one end of the building to the other. So he added that, and we request your approval of that driveway. It was built to the specs on the plans, with the same pavement section. Allows them to plow the site, and I don't know if you have any other things to add as to why you would.
Well, it's just easy access around fire for.
You should probably speak into the microphone so Lisa gets it on.
It's easy access for everyone, you know, fire, emergency, just to access.
Yeah, and we did get a letter from the fire marshal stating that it's a benefit to have the driveway there to
Okay.
allow for emergency vehicle access. The other item that was kind of a big item was the roof drains for the addition were tied into a storm system that ran to the north over to Raleigh Road. They were planned to go into the stormwater basin here. So on the plan, we show revision and reinstallation of the roof drains to bring them over to the stormwater basin. south.
Then they'll be updated to comply with the
Yeah.
original.
The original stormwater pollution prevention
Okay.
plan, the NOI and all the permit to DEC.
Mhm.
Because that's where we showed them on the plan, and we validated that with our submission in 2023.
Anything else?
The other thing was where he added a safety guardrail here that was requested by building department along the edge of the detention pond, just so vehicles can't fall in there. And he added some bollards around the chiller over on this side of the building. He has a few trees to install. We show them as being proposed on the plan, so we can do that in the spring. And the only other item was dumpsters. He plans to leave the dumpsters over in this area here where they are now. We showed our plan and enclosure over here, but it just doesn't work for how his operation is and where his waste comes out of the building.
Would you be having an enclosure around the dumpsters at the preferred location?
We don't at this point. We never have.
Was it, you said it wasn't, had an enclosure on the site where it is now?
Well, no, we showed an enclosure on the plans you approved.
Mhm.
And he decided that the area where we showed it didn't work. So we plan to leave the dumpsters over in this area here where they currently are, or where they currently have been all these years since he initially built the building in 2013. There's never been an issue with where they are.
Okay, but if we approved an enclosure, I would assume that that's something that we want to at least shield from view from the street, which is just south of the
Yeah.
building. Oh, I guess with that, I'll open it up to the board. Questions? Joe?
So, we're talking about a pretty big deal here, in my mind. If we had just redirected some roof drains to a storm catch basin, that'd be one thing, but put in a 16-foot wide driveway, put in bollards, we made some major change there, and, you know, MRB Group is a pretty big outfit, and it's a pretty significant departure from what was approved by the board, so I'm kind of curious, like, did you think we weren't going to notice, or? I'm not sure what drove the changes without coming before the board from a firm your size.
We weren't informed of the changes ourselves.
Oh, all right. So then,
This
maybe
was
we
a
should-
contractor, a contractor did this. We weren't involved in any inspection of the work.
And it wasn't going on while the other approved changes were being made? It was done sort of after the fact, just,
It was done after the plans were approved.
okay, then, my apologies. So then the question goes, I guess, to the property owner, what prompted them to proceed with the changes?
Well, I think the ballards just had to be put in.
Fair enough. How about the driveway and the guide rails and all?
The guide rails just need to be put in.
There's a-
It's a drive around the back.
Sure, but there is a process, right? That's what escapes me is, you know, we've got a big
I mean,
firm.
I could have put the driveway in then, you know? I mean, I thought it was just a good thing to do.
Yeah, I think Joe's probably referring to the fact that it was just done without requesting approval of that from the town.
I mean, I know if I'm going to put a shed on my property, I got to get a building permit.
Yeah.
So something this significant, it would occur to me
Right.
that I needed to get approval for it.
So,
I think to Joe's point, the process that perhaps should be followed, that I've experienced, is that the owner should contact the design engineer and say,
Sure.
hey, I'm thinking about putting some bollards or some guide rail in here, or thinking about moving my dumpsters over here, what do you think? At which point the engineer, if he's done work in the town of Victor, probably say, hey, I think we've got to contact the town and tell them that we've got a change going on.
yeah, field change.
A field
Yeah, no,
change, what do we need to do?
I get
So-
it, I get it.
So I think, you know, Joe has a good question, perhaps not knowing the process, but that's the process as I understand it, and it's not unusual for these situations to arise. We've seen several, one of mine included, where when it goes to the construction phase, sometimes all bets are off, so it seems.
Well, let's hope not.
Well, not all of them, some of them.
So then the follow-up is there an expectation that changes of this magnitude are just going to get
There is,
approved, or are there consequences?
well, I'm not sure. The consequences would be if we wouldn't approve it, they would have to rip it out, for instance, and we've denied changes or required changes. Think of the charging station at Eastview Mall, where they went every other space rather than every space.
Sure.
and Stretched it out into, you know, all that. So the consequence was they had to redo it so that it met the plan.
Met specs. yeah.
And if this, we felt, or there was a good engineering or other reason not to approve it, they would have to take it out.
And I think that, and, you know, redoing it or taking it out would be too dramatic, but,
Well, it sounds like it's a good thing. I mean, the owner feels it's best for circulation. The fire department obviously feels that it's a good thing for access
Sure.
around the building. So, having said that, maybe an oversight originally in the set of plans. Yeah, they should have come to before the building department to make sure that they could do this without, you know, pre-construction, if you will,
sure.
or as an ongoing site change and come before the board. So they didn't do that. They're before us now. In the end, it's not going to significantly impact the site, so.
Okay.
Point is taken. I think that the owner understands the implications of what happened and that it wasn't the right process. And I think,
Okay.
as a board, we need to say, that's not the right process, which I think,
No, it's clear.
yeah.
Trust me,
Okay.
it's clear.
I'm good then.
I'm trying to massage the response as best I
No,
can.
no, I'm with you, I'm okay.
Al?
No other comments or questions.
Okay. Ernie, from your end?
Just curious how this came about. Was it on your own initiative, or did you get a visit from the building department?
Couldn't hear you.
Were the changes,
The building department
Yeah, I'm
inspected it
sorry,
after
yes,
the
it's
fact.
building department.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
so especially the drainage issue, I think was a big one, and maybe Wes, if you want to chime in with any comments you have from Lavelle?
We actually don't have any comments on this particular project. We do recognize that they're redirecting the stormwater to a location which it was originally intended to go. And I think that's a good thing because it offers the opportunity, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, offers the opportunity for that water to percolate into the ground or infiltrate
Yes.
into the ground.
Yeah, it does, because there's very little, like, it runs from the stormwater basin south of the building, then there's another one in the front it runs to, and that one's almost always dry. So we did perk tests and everything infiltrated originally, so it's a nice mowed lawn in the front.
So we don't have anything further beyond that.
Okay, all right, and, kudos to the building department for looking at the drainage and finding that changes need to be made, so,
I'd just also like to thank the owner for being willing to correct the drainage, because at his cost, he's going to have to rip up a bunch of that pavement to bring that pipe around to the other side, so thank you.
there's no conflict with the edge of the pavement to the slope, is that, I think it's an uphill slope from there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it dips down a little bit to the
Okay.
catch basins, and then it goes up fairly steeply. And Tim also spent a lot of money stabilizing the bank last year, put a lot of netting and seating and,
Looks like there's some markups on the, like, it's not on my drawing, but, is that stone or surface treatment up above?
no, I don't know what that's, no, it's just I don't know if it's just the way the copy came out, or the contours
Okay.
the contours may be
That's why it doesn't
tight.
show up on my drawing.
Yeah, the contours may be tight together or something in those areas, but there's no,
There's a swell that goes all the way around.
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
I put riprap in there to
Mhm.
slow it down or ease it up, whatever you want. Filter it, I should say.
Yeah, as long as the site drainage is properly managed and vetted, you don't want to overload the storm water system that's out on Raleigh roads.
Right.
Yeah, Tim had no intention of circumventing the system or anything like that, it's just not knowing the process, and we weren't involved at the time because it wasn't over an acre, so we weren't doing stormwater inspections, which was the only thing that would really bring us out to the site, so.
Mhm. Okay, well, this is a public hearing, so it is open. Is there anyone from the public that has a comment? Seeing none, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move.
Al moves,
I'll second.
and Scott seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public hearing's closed. Anything else from the board, questions that arose? We do have a draft resolution in that case, which I will read. Sorry. Yeah. So, whereas planning board made the following findings of fact for application 35 SB 2024, and there are 9 of them. Whereas the Town of Victor Planning Board reviewed the unlisted action on January 28th, 2025, and identified no significant facts, now therefore be it resolved that the project and PMD addition will not have a significant impact on the environment, a negative declaration be prepared, and be it further resolved that the application of Progressive Machine and Design, PMD 727 Raleigh Road, New York, site plan entitled PMD Site Plan Modification, be approved with the following conditions. Conditions to be addressed prior to the chairman's signature on the site plan. Number 1 is standard. Number 2, that the comments in a letter dated December 30th, 2024 from the code officer be addressed. Number 3, that the comments in a letter dated March 15th, 2023 from the landscape consultant be addressed. Ongoing conditions that the site plan comply with the Town of Victor design and construction standards for land development, including section 4. Number 2, that the property at 727 Raleigh Road come into compliance per the site plan modification dated December 2024 and building permit BP 2023-0190 issued on May 3rd, 2023. That as-built architectural plan be stamped and signed by the design professional of record by February 15th, 2025, and that all stormwater work be completed per approved site plan modification dated December 2024 by April 15th, 2025. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. So on that resolution, do I hear a motion for approval?
I'll move.
Ernie moves,
I'll second.
and Scott seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried 5-0.
Thank you.
Two. Steve, you might be up next one, too.
Want to hang around?
So the next one is preliminary final application Stover subdivision. This is on Benson Road. This is a public hearing. This is application 7 PS 2024 and 6 FS 2024, and zoned LDD. Applicants requesting acknowledgement of a complete application for the subdivision of 11.6 acre parcel into 3 residential lots. This is the second and third step of a major subdivision. Sketch plan was acknowledged complete November 12th, 2024. Good evening again, Steve.
Good evening. Steve Schultz. I'm here with Todd Stover, property owner. We were before the board on November 12th with sketch plan and presenting a very similar layout with the appropriate design information added for preliminary final. Remains the intent of Mr. Stover to subdivide his 11.6 acre parcel at the intersection of Benson and Lower Fishers Road into 3 residential lots. Property zone limited development district with 1 acre lots permitted as public water is present along the road frontage. The project meets all the density and area requirements established for the district. Lot 1 we're showing is 2.6 acres, Lot 2 is also 2.6 acres, and Lot 3 is 6.4 acres. All 3 lots are proposed with 4-bedroom homes and driveways that access Benson Road. There's existing metal Quonset type shed off Lower Fishers Road that Todd plans to keep and maintain. Each lot is designed with an on-site septic systems for sewage disposal and a water service that will connect to the main along Benson Road. Monroe County Water Authority has reviewed the water services and approved the location as shown. We have conventional septic systems designed for each lot based on the perk tests and deep holes that Labella witnessed. The site is primarily brush, few trees, and clearing is limited as much as we can. We try to keep all the grading tight to the homes, and so we have probably about 1.7 acres roughly of disturbance with the project overall. Being a major subdivision, Todd plans to use a combination of conservation easement and stream buffer to meet the 50% open space requirement. This method was originally suggested by Wesley Labella, and we met last week with town staff, Todd and myself, to kind of reaffirm the direction we're going in with that. It seemed acceptable to everyone at the meeting. The easement on the conservation easement will be on the back of lots 1 and 2, and that will be 2.56 acres, 44% of the open space. And the stream buffer area on lot 3 only accounts for 3.25 acres of open space, so that'll be 56% for a total of 100% of the 50%. All the open space areas are depicted on the subdivision map. If you don't,
Susie,
can't see that one. I think that may be the old one.
She did, it's like, there you go.
Yeah, put it in there. So the open space behind lots 2 and 3 is here. And then the stream buffer area, lot 3, follows this curvy line here. So those add up to the 50% requirement. We did receive a comment letter from Labella today, and they kind of reiterate that in their first comment there. And that's about it. And I can go through the comments from Labella, or I don't know if you need the public input at this point, or...
No, actually, we can go through the comments from Labella and Wes.
Yeah, happy to talk about some of the comments that we have. Some of them are a little more technical. For example, we might look to see if the applicant's design professional can add a small swale on the uphill side of the Lot 3 septic system just to divert surface water flows away from the leach field. There appears to be an existing well on Lot 3. Is that an abandoned well, or is that used for anything that you're aware of?
It's not used for anything. I've asked some of the area residents if they know anything of it, and they didn't think that they ever hit water when it was drilled.
Okay,
So as far as I know, it's just an abandoned well.
okay, all right.
And it was shown on the plan submitted to the Water Authority, and they had no, it's labeled not for potable use on
Yeah,
our
right, I
plan.
did see that,
And
yeah.
so they didn't have any problem with it. Normally, they would have an issue if there was a well that could possibly tie into their system, but
Yep.
they had no comments about it.
Where is it near, Wes?
It's on Lot 3, closer to Benson Road. It's probably in the
Like in
vicinity.
this area?
Yeah, it's somewhere.
I think that may be it right there where you're, I think it may be right here.
Okay. So it doesn't look like it would have ever been connected to anything if it is a well,
Yeah.
so.
No, there's nothing nearby to connect to it.
Yeah.
Right, right.
There's no other pipes underground somewhere that we don't, that the owner doesn't know about, so.
Yeah. So we also, I referenced the town's access management regulations. So there is a table in the access management regulations that talks about separation spacing between driveways. So on one of these images that there might show that, yeah, let's see, the
Stuff on there.
driveways.
Yeah, those two driveways on 2 and 3 are near each other, is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
That's
yeah, they
right.
are. They're definitely less than 245 feet apart.
Yeah.
I mean, the lots are only 150 feet wide, lots 1 and 2, so.
So they're going to need a waiver for that. I don't think that's a big issue, though. I don't think that's something to hold up and be concerned about.
Does the driveway, can it just flip on lot 2 to the other side?
It could, but I think the way that it's positioned here, it affords more sight distance for this Lot 2 to be able to see towards the northwest.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
It's true, yeah. And if you put it on the other side of the driveway, then we'd be less than 245 feet from Lot 1's driveway.
yeah.
So no matter where you put it, because the lots, like I said, they're only 150 feet
Yeah.
wide, 1 and 2, so
Right.
we're going to run into that issue. And I notice, I don't know, is the zoning the same for the Arbor
Arbor
Glen
Glen?
or Glen Arbor across the street? Because I
I
know
think it
there's
is.
a number of driveways there that are easily within 245 feet.
Yeah,
of
so,
one another.
and so when that Arbor Glen subdivision was approved, the town did not have those access management and separation distance requirements at that time.
Oh, okay.
So they're a little bit newer. And in this instance, I don't see a big issue with the planning board providing that waiver because the way that the driveways are depicted seems to be the safest in terms of having 3 lots.
Oh, yeah,
For
absolutely.
site distance purposes, so I'm okay with that. The site distance, the site distance notes are located on the overall site plan. We might ask that if MRB Group can identify what the required site distances are, just so we can confirm.
Okay.
We don't have issues, I don't think, with any of the driveways. The one that I question might be Lot 2, looking to the northwest a little bit. It's really hard to tell what that site distance is.
Yeah, I think it was 470 feet
470, that's.
for
yeah, that's
measuring
something
out in
like-
the field.
The driveway width, Lot 1 driveway width is shown to be about 10 feet. The specification for the town is generally 12 feet.
We can change that, that's
yeah.
not a problem.
And then looking for the applicant to confirm the slope is not exceeding 10% on the Lot 3 driveway.
Yeah, I checked, it was 7.
Okay. There's some grading in the right-of-way and some culvert work. Just noted that the applicant will need to get a highway work permit from the town. And then one of the questions was regarding roof drainage that we had. And it looks like for houses on lots 1 and 2, there seems to be a leader or a lateral heading away from the corner of the house to the south.
There's one here, and there's one here, and they both are discharging down below the septic systems.
Okay.
There's also one here, but I think it maybe just got lost in the contours.
Oh, yep.
Or lot
I might
three.
have missed it.
Yeah, so all the roof drains all discharge downhill lower than the septic system.
Okay, just to daylight?
Yep, to daylight.
Okay.
Yep. There's a lot, it just turns into just endless fields, so it just sort of dissipate into the ground. It's fairly permeable, obviously, we do perk tests out there.
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe there'll be two per house instead of one, but the idea is that they all discharge down lower than the septic system or not to the septic system area.
Okay. That's all I've got for you.
Okay. So what's happening to the barn that stays on lot 3, correct?
There's no change to it.
Okay. Great, start with you, one. Questions?
Well, this, my only question is, first, I'm familiar with the area, but this does slant down toward Lower Fisher's Row, is that right? Is it quite a bit of a rise off of Lower Fisher's Road?
Yes, I mean, up to the Benson Road side, yes.
And is this going to be included in any of that?
I guess, I'm sorry, I don't understand your
The
question.
rise, is the house going to be
Oh,
No.
in?
no. The houses are all set about 3 feet above the road. The garage floor is roughly 3-4 feet or so, just to have a nice kind of gradual slope, but enough of a slope to have good drainage around the house.
This is going to be on septic, I take it.
Yep, every lot.
About water,
Yep, we have public water from the Water Authority.
okay? So we have,
With respect to the barn or the Quonset hut, that stays with lot 3 then?
Correct.
And so the owner of lot 3 will be you for a while then?
Yes.
Okay. And then I had a question on lot 1 and the driveway to the north on lot 1, which is close to the public intersection there, I guess you would call it. Is there any possibility to flip it to the other side to allow for more separation between those two cut points?
I'd like to, but for sight distance purposes, when you get up to Glen Arbor, the road kind of flattens and dips a little bit, so we kept it up at that end of the lot in order to have better sight distance.
Okay. So all the driveway connection points have acceptable sight distance?
Yep.
I have no more questions.
Okay, Al?
I'm all set.
Joe?
Just a couple comments relative to the stream buffer and the conservation easements. I noticed comments indicating that maybe straight lines for the stream buffer would be beneficial in terms of trying to avoid following the contours with markers and all. Any consideration of that at all?
That was something that was discussed with the Conservation Board. But that kind of went with turning it into an actual conservation easement as opposed to a stream buffer, because we can't help the way the stream kind of meanders through there, so that's why it's so curved, and why we're not doing a conservation easement, because then you get into the straight lines, which won't line up with the stream buffer.
Okay.
We kind of went with Wes's suggestion of just using the stream buffer, and we think that was a great idea for Lot 3.
Okay, that works.
Can I follow up on that a
Sure.
little bit? So I had Susie put up on the screen for you a bit of a colored rendering. This is a very rudimentary sketch. This is not completely accurate to the applicant's subdivision
Looks good to me.
proposal. But what you see here is you see two different colors. And just to clarify, what the applicant is proposing, based on some of my feedback, was the yellow area contributes to the 50% open space requirement. However, the yellow area is not a conservation easement. Therefore, there isn't really a need to have the conservation easement markers along the perimeter of that 75-foot buffer. And that 75-foot buffer is regulated under a particular paragraph in the zoning code that states something to the effect of streams, a protected environmental area within 75 feet of the center line of the stream. So that's what you're seeing there. So that's contributing to the open space. The only conservation easement would be this orange or pinkish area, which is all straight lines. And you'll notice that it does overtop that open space in the stream buffer. So that will be in a conservation easement. And the applicant did not count this area twice for purposes of area to 50%. We made sure of that, so.
Then Wes, the code would prohibit building or impervious surfaces in the stream buffer.
That is correct. Yeah, the code prohibits that, and code enforcement would enforce that, absolutely. Yep.
So the 50% is achieved by both colors then together,
That's correct, yes.
minus the.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, the stream buffer is only counted on lot 3.
Yep, so the only conservation easements are on lots 1 and 2. There are no conservation easements on lot 3. So,
The only comment I'd have to that trapezoid, I guess, the orange, is that it cuts across the hill from low to high to that knob at the top. And I guess I would have thought it'd be better to follow more contours, so you're not, it just seems like an odd space if you're trying to do something up on top there and mow the lawn, and all of a sudden it's, oh, I see Wes is gonna change
yeah,
that.
I don't know, if this may not be exact. This might be, maybe I'm exaggerating it a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit more like that.
I think you're pretty close.
Yeah, and
We did angle it so lot 1 could access that little hill in behind.
yeah, like that,
No.
like Wes just, I would keep it down here somewhere, like you just did, Wes.
Yeah.
And if you had to get the area correct, you could pull that one up just a bit, because you're not using that space anyway.
Yeah,
Just-
we could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know probably you want to take the.
It'll still end up being the 2 point whatever acres, whether we angle it a little more, towards the road at the bottom of lot 2 there, like
Sure.
we.
I mean, if I'm lot 1 living here, I'd want access to this area, because I know I'm not going to go down the hill with anything,
Yeah,
unless the kids are sledding down the hill or something, but,
yeah, and that's
It's
allowed in the conservation
Yeah.
easement, so. I mean, there's a lot of things that are allowed, I mean, you just can't build
Right.
anything in it, but you could still
Yeah,
walk
I
on it.
was thinking of
and
markers.
A trail or something like that, or,
So,
but, yeah, we can look at.
Take a look at
possibly
it for-
tweaking that, but.
I mean, your call, honestly, as long as you got the area, so that would be
Yeah,
my
actually,
comment.
the conservation easement proposed, I believe, is open space, which not theoretically, actually allows for the removal of all of the brush if you want to put in a lawn. And I'm curious if that fits within your vision of the property to keep it a little more rural, or do you picture it? I'm just curious what your vision is and why an open space would be appropriate.
Yeah, I was thinking open space, just for the fact that whoever buys that land then has some freedom to do what they choose with it. But at this point, I'm thinking open space.
Okay. I think in some respects, the site-specific would give you almost everything that you wanted, except for denuding the property and putting in a lawn. And if there is a lawn there, then we've got to worry about runoff into the stream itself with fertilizer and things like that. So the site-specific would give you everything. You'd be able to maintain trails. You would still keep motor vehicles off of it. But it would certainly limit to some degree the more drastic changes to the landscape. So something to consider, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think based on the drop in the terrain, I don't really see it feasible that somebody would make that into a lawn. But, we'll think about that.
Something to consider.
Yeah.
Make
Because then
one,
you can craft those site specifics to what your vision, how you would like your legacy of the property to look.
yeah, so that kind of goes to my point about, you might want to be able to mow right at the top of here, and if all of a sudden you're crossing a line where you're not supposed to be mowing, it seems kind of silly, so all I do is put it down the slope somewhere. Nobody's going to drive their lawnmower down a relatively steep, 1-on-3 or steeper slope, so.
Yeah. Yeah, that can easily be adjusted.
Sure. So,
That's all I got.
That's it? We got everybody right now? Okay.
Regarding the grading and the right-of-way and culverts, could we just note that on the plan that, because, I mean, Todd wouldn't get a permit for that because he's going to sell, he sells lot 1 or 2, and that would be up to that future owner to get the permit for the culvert, because he's not going to do any installation or grading.
Or the culvert for the driveway, or?
Yeah, the driveway culvert.
I don't know.
I think a note on the plan would be helpful.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, at least they know what they're
Yeah,
expected to do.
Yeah, okay.
So, good point. Anything else, Steve?
No.
Okay.
We see, we'll take care of all the rest of it. We know we got to do the SWIP part of it, which is not a problem. A lot of the information's already on the plan, because it's just an erosion control SWIP. It's not, there's no stormwater detention or anything like that, or, so we got that partially complete, and the rest of the stuff is no problem.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Does our public have any comments? I assume there's nothing online, but I shouldn't make that assumption.
No comments,
Okay.
Dave? No comments, Dave?
So, with that, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Move.
Bernie moves,
Second.
and Joe seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. And we have a draft resolution. If you guys are comfortable with where we are with this,
Take a look at it.
Lisa's going to hand them out.
Sure.
And if anybody else needs one, Lisa's got, or can provide later. So, with that, this is a resolution for the Stover subdivision on Benson Road, application 7 PS 2024 and 6 FS 2024, whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact. Number 1, a preliminary and final major subdivision application was received on December 23rd, 2024 from Todd Stover, the applicant, and by the secretary of the planning board for a major subdivision entitled Stover subdivision project for the property located at Benson Road, Pittsford, New York. Number 2, the project proposes to subdivide an 11.6 acre parcel into 3 residential lots. Number 3, to satisfy the 50% open space requirement for major subdivisions, the subdivision plan includes 2.56 acres of conservation easement on lots 1 and 2 only. The remainder of open space is being accomplished by considering the contributing area within 75 feet of the stream, which is 3.25 acres. The 3.25 acres around the stream is regulated by Section 21130, Paragraph A of the Victor Town Code, which states no construction or impervious surface shall be permitted within 100 feet of the boundary of a wetland or within 75 feet of the center line of any stream having year-round flow as delineated on the United States Geologic Survey map. A 75-foot buffer around the stream is not a conservation easement. Number 4, a public hearing was duly called for and was published in the Daily Messenger, and whereby all property owners within a minimum of 500 feet of the project were notified by U.S. mail. An under review sign was posted on the subject parcel as required by town code. I'll look at the rest of them as pretty straightforward. Those first 2 help me frame this for the public. Whereas Section 55-5D1 of the public Victor Town Code requires 440 feet separation between driveways, and the applicant is asking for 240-foot driveway spacing, and whereas the Town of Victor Planning Board reviewed the unlisted action on January 28, 2025, and identified no significant impacts, now therefore be it resolved that the project Stover subdivision will not have a significant impact on the environment, and then a negative declaration be prepared, and be it further resolved that the Planning Board waives Chapter 55, Section 55-6, Paragraph D of the Victor Town Code that will require 440 feet separation between driveways as part of access spacing requirements, and be it further resolved that the Planning Board waives Chapter 55, Section 55-7, Paragraph B of the Victor Town Code that will require 12-foot width for a one-way driveway and will allow the 10-foot driveway width depicted on the final subdivision plans for Lot 1. And be it further resolved that regarding the preliminary and final plan application from Todd Stover, major subdivision, be approved with the following conditions. Conditions that must be met prior to the chairman signing the preliminary subdivision plan. Number 1, 2, and 3 are all standard. 4, that the comments in the letter dated January 28th, 2025 from Labella Associates be addressed. Number 5, that the comments in the letter dated January 14th, 2025 from the code officer be addressed. Number 6, that the comments in the letter dated January 27th, 2025 from stormwater manager be addressed. And conditions that are ongoing, standard conditions that must be adhered to, numbers 1 and 2 and 3 are all standards, and be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. So on that, do I hear a motion for approval of this resolution?
One question here before maybe you move forward with the motion. So there was some discussion briefly about the Lot 1 driveway width, and do you want to, is it your intent to make that a 12-foot wide driveway, or do you want to leave it as 10 and seek a waiver? Right now, as the resolution reads, you're providing a waiver to allow a 10-foot wide driveway.
And we didn't really discuss that.
Why is it 10 foot?
Why is it 10?
Why is it 10
Why did you
feet
put a
wide?
10-foot instead of a 12? What's
Oh,
wrong with going to 12?
No specific reason, it just seemed to fit okay there. And it could be 12 feet, it's, like I said, I will change that without any problems.
Yeah, as I was reading that, I was thinking, we really didn't talk about that, so thank you, Wes, for flagging that. I honestly don't see a reason to provide a waiver if you can put a 12-foot in. I could understand if there was some rock outcropping or something that was in the way, but does that change the side slopes? Does it hinder the ability to build next to the property line?
No, because, we would just add 2 feet on
On the
south of the.
south side.
Yeah, south side of the driveway, no problem.
Yeah, it looks like you should be able to do that, no problem.
Yep.
I would be in favor of striking
One
that
less waiver.
10-foot
There you go.
waiver. So, be it further resolved on, just strike that one section out, Lisa?
Will do.
So is there no spacing, there's no limit on the spacing between the driveways?
Well, it's the
Because-
400 and some odd feet, right?
440 feet was the,
That's what you're supposed to have.
supposed to have, and I think you're
don't
providing
have it.
224.
So we're giving you a waiver.
They're affording you the opportunity to have those 2 driveways, I guess it was, they're actually about 40 feet apart, Lot 2 and 3.
That's why I wonder, because in your comment letter, you said would need to issue a waiver to the 245-foot driveway spacing requirement.
That must have been a typo on my part, because it's only, or did I say 245? I'm confusing myself now.
You said 245-foot driveway right there.
Depends on the speed limit.
Yeah. So I think, if I recall correctly, the standard requires 440 feet. And what they're showing is 40 feet between the driveways for lots 2 and 3.
And 3.
Right?
Yeah.
But you're telling us
I
that
think
the
it's-
site distance is adequate.
I think it's more than 40 feet between those 2 driveways, between lots 2 and 3.
Doesn't look.
I mean, it's obviously less than the 245 requirement, or the 440 requirement, so I don't know if the waiver is just sort of a blanket, like, it's plan specific, or it's just a waiver that allows them to put the driveways anywhere.
We're just waiving the 440 requirement.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, all right,
245.
then that's good.
I think your site distance helps us
Yep,
grant the blanket, if you will.
okay, all right, that sounds good.
Just take out the 245?
Okay. So, we have 2 modifications that we just spoke about. One is the first whereas regarding the driveway spacing, and the next one is the second be it further resolved paragraph, or third actually, that talks about 12-foot wide driveway, which we're striking the 10-foot driveway width variance. So We'll leave it at 12.
Okay.
Can I add a condition on ongoing that a building permit be
Yeah.
for all lots?
Yeah.
Hmm? No, we can add the highway work permit, that came off. So adding a highway work permit, a highway permit be obtained, and also a building permit be obtained. That's okay.
It was a draft. We're making it refined. Okay. Any other questions, comments, modifications? We're good? Okay, so with those updates, I hear a motion for approval of that resolution.
I'll move it.
Scott moves,
Second?
Bernie seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 5-0. So, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, in weeks? Few weeks. It's 2 weeks, right?
The 28th, or, no wait, February 11th would
Yeah.
be 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. We're just about the end of the month. Okay, so any motion to adjourn or something?
We'll move.
Al moves,
Second.
and Joe seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. Stay out of the snow as much as you can.